So hello everybody, let's get started. It's 5 after 11 and this is our topic, software systems modernization, a better option to their replacement. My name is Michal Petřík, currently head of software development at Profinet with experience in this field. And once again, I welcome you here in our webinar, and I hope that you will enjoy it. Today we have a few rules. For example, one rule is that we will use platform called slide.do. And this is platform when you can ask your questions, you can vote, because I would really appreciate your collaboration in this webinar. So please, if you can, go to website slide.do and use the event code 2854 or just scan this QR code. As I mentioned, the questions are at the end of this webinar, and please use only this slide.do platform. Do not use chat or other channels. What we are going to talk about today, I have on this next slide. We are talking about software systems modernization, and definitely there are a few challenges that we face every day, and we want to give you some answers how to respond to these challenges. Really crucial thing is to choose the right approach regarding the challenges, and I will show you a few approaches that can fit your cases. And at the end, if we have enough time, I will present a short case study, for example, what we have done, and it's just one of many studies that we have. So let's start with typical challenges. Sometimes you feel like jumping right off the cliff, and very often you don't know what you can expect. So let's see, where are the typical challenges? During this presentation, I will use a few slides provided by Gartner. Definitely you can think about Gartner whatever you want, but one thing that is really true is that sometimes they can describe a really complex thing in a really nice diagram or picture. And this is exactly the case, because in our business, we have many streams that challenge us as IT or business or whatever. We have shareholders, regulators, employees, suppliers, and of course customers. And when we are talking today about software systems modernization, very often it's connected to this side. It's connected to customers, because we have branches, we have CRMs, we have web, we have mobile. Okay, you can call it a digital transformation, whatever, but the fact is that we want to sell our products, we want to make our customers satisfied, and that's what makes our business. So, for example, let's start a bit of interaction in this webinar, and I have the first question for you. So please go to slideo.com or slide.do and use code 2854, and please share your thoughts on what are typical business challenges today, your typical challenges. So for example, I can tailor the next slides to your needs or to your situation, and maybe I will find out that you have no challenges and everything is clear and you have no problems at all. Tracking outcomes, okay. Thank you very much for the first answer. Ancient technologies. Okay, great. Let's wait a few more seconds, and let's see if other will. Simplification. Yes, legacy systems tend to be really complex, hard to maintain, and so on. So not enough skills. Yes, great. So thank you for this time, and I really appreciate that you participate in this webinar. Buzzwords, Okay, I hope that's not meant to my person, that it's buzzwords in legacy systems modernization, simplification, not enough skills, ancient technologies, tracking outcomes, cost objectives. Okay, so thank you very much, and let's review what we have here in this webinar. So from our perspective, what we have witnessed are typical challenges. The first one is poor digital business support. So we have a really good system. Very often the system is good because it serves the purpose to some extent, or it used to serve the purpose, and still it generates money, I assume. But maybe you need new business models or channels, or you want to open your data to your customers through a mobile platform or mobile channels, and you simply cannot do that. So that is what I mean by poor digital business support. Another thing is changing requirements. The system was great for back office, but now you want to open it for front office or to your clients, and maybe it's good for back office, but the UX is terrible for end clients, or it's not fit for purpose anymore. Another thing is high pace of change. We can imagine all those legacy systems written in COBOL, C, C++, or many other ancient technologies, and they tend to be slow to change, risky and costly to change, because, for example, there is lack of versioning, lack of quality assurance, or some standards we use with current technologies, CI/CD, and so on. It's not there, so we cannot change the system quickly, and that's a risk. If we are talking about risks, okay, compliance, and when we say compliance, security, and it's not only about aging technologies and lack of support. Many platforms which are not supported, for example, Java 1.8, yes, it is supported, but it was a really big bang when Oracle said, okay, end of life for Java 1.8. And of course, it's connected to skills shortage, because older technologies, the programmers, the designers are also a bit older sometimes, and there are no new employees willing to code on that platform. And last but not least, of course, maintenance costs. You don't have enough personnel, the technology is a bit complex, you have a huge technical debt. So at the end, you can have poor code quality, and it means you invest, and instead of having new features, you are fixing old bugs. These were 5 top typical challenges that we have witnessed, and one important question arises very often, and our customers usually ask that. Do you know how has it happened? So what is the reason that we are in the situation we are right now? Who is to blame? So the fact is there's no one and everyone to be blamed. I will talk about it in a few minutes. But how has it happened? There are many reasons why and how. For example, we started small, but our business was really successful. So we started in one country, and now we have to support 7 countries. And there are many things that you have to rethink. For example, architecture, languages support, culture support, and so on. And by slow changes, you cannot achieve this. So this is, for example, one of the reasons. The business is bigger. We started with one small monolith. At the moment, we would need, for example, microservices architecture, and the monolith is not able to keep up with the changes, or the architecture doesn't support the number of customers or users the system has to serve. So another reason. Requirements have shifted. It means, yes, we were in back office, that was okay. Now we want to support front office, but the system is not prepared, or we need to be faster, or we need to embrace new business model, or whatever. Another perspective is the team responsible for the system. So when we start small, many startups, we are pretty successful. We have two small agile teams, let's say 10 FTEs, or one bigger team, 10 FTEs, and now the system is supported by 50 FTEs. Definitely, you have to change your processes, your culture. It's a completely different story. Keeping an eye on 10 people and now keeping an eye on 50 people. You have to add more layers of management, for example, or some layers on synchronization. For example, this is a great story doing agile transformation. Okay, it works in one team, it works in two teams, but does it work in 5, 10, 50 teams? It's a completely different story. So it also relates to some legacy systems. And again, last but not least, technical debt used to be acceptable. You are a young startup. You have to be on the market. So you are cutting corners. Okay, we can just put it away. We can skip it. We will fix it in the next sprint. But as we all know, some temporary fixes tend to be persistent. And now, after a few years, you have a really huge technical debt, and it imposes business risks because every change is costly, risky, and no one wants to do it. So I've just presented a few reasons that might have happen. And here is another question. Could you please share your thoughts on what are your challenges, or what is your situation in your company, or what are you familiar with? So, okay, that was fast. So thank you for that. Requirements are different. Technical debt is not acceptable. Some other things. Sorry for the resolution. Something went astray, but there are no more categories than other. Users in more countries, business has grown. So if I can summarize it, technical debt is the winner, but the rest is you have experience with all of them. And to be honest, very often it's totally connected, because your business has grown, definitely requirements have to shift. You have to grow your development capacity, and what is also connected is technical debt. So thank you very much. As you can see, oh yes, this is the situation that we are facing every day, and considering bigger businesses or businesses with a long tradition, definitely we are there, and we all know what is down there, what happens there. So another question arises. Now we know, I hope, we know how has it happened, but then why has it happened? Okay, so who is to blame? Is it business? Is it ICT? Is it one person sitting behind the desk and saying, you did it, you are responsible? Actually, no, 100% no. In the most of the cases, it's a lot of harmless decisions along the way. We have to release now. We have to make this feature happen. We have to fix it quickly, and we will fix it in the next sprint, and so on and so forth. And at the moment, the decision is completely clear. It makes perfect sense. But you make one decision, second decision, and so on and so on. And now you are in the situation you are. And it's just how it works. So then sometimes people have enough. And they say, okay, this is my old system. Thank you very much. But it's enough. I want to replace. So is it time to replace your system? Is it the only option? And when should you consider it? And are there any reasons why not do it? I will present a few tips which you should consider. And I will use a few clues from Gartner again, because Gartner is talking about so-called 6 key drivers, and I think that they are hitting the point. because we have every day, every time, we have, let's say, two sides. We have business and we have IT, of course. Every time business is paying, IT is delivering, and okay, there are many other solutions in the middle, but very often we can split it this way. Let's call it a simplification. And when we are talking about legacy systems and the challenges and the needs, then on the left side, we have business, and definitely business wants the system to be fit for purpose, to bring value, and to be fast, to bring agility. So we want to have the feature now to fulfill our requirements, and we want to really fast and to overcome our competition. On the other hand, we have IT, and IT is looking for costs, complexity, and also risks. So all the things such as technical debt, aging technologies, time cost, risk of change, and so on and so forth is there. So let's say we have these 6 categories: fit for purpose, value, business value, agility, cost, complexity, and risk. And when we somehow challenge each of this category, we have problem, and business has problem, or IT has problem, or both have problem. And then we have to find the root cause of the legacy system and find the part which makes the problems. So another one simplification for a system: our systems are complex, and every system is complex. Even the simplest microservice is complex in a whole. But let's say that we are looking for functionality, architecture, and technology. The system has some business functionality. Okay, then it has to have some architecture. If the system has no architecture, then you have definitely a bit of different problems than legacy systems. Without architecture, there can be no system. And at the end, we have technology. So on the technology, we build the architecture to fulfill all the functionalities. Okay, so when there is problem in functionality, very often it hits business. When there is a problem in technology, very often it hits IT, because technology is only rarely a showstopper for business. Okay, it can happen, but for example, changing Java 1.8 for Java 11 or .NET 4.6 for .NET 5, okay, it's technology change and business expects it will continue to work. But okay, there are some exceptions, but technology very often relates only to IT. And architecture is the queen of software engineering. So if we have problem in architecture, definitely that's hitting the both categories, business as well as IT. So every time we should find the root cause, what's happening, why do we face the problems, fit for purpose, value, agility, whatever, where is the problem, in functionality, architecture, or technology? And still, we can continue to ask, why bother with all this and not just replace? And there are 3 key points you should also consider. The first one is cost, risk, and impact. Very often during RFPs or RFIs, we see many companies saying, okay, we have our product and we can replace almost anything. But let's say that replace almost anything also means that you will have to do a lot of connections. You will have to change a lot of interfaces. Maybe you will have to migrate the data. And at the end, okay, with many honorable exceptions, it tends to be costly, risky, time-consuming, and sometimes it has a high impact to the business, because will the product follow your business, or would you need to change your business to follow the product? That's the question. For example, for some small or starting companies, buying shrink-wrapped product and starting the business based on the workflows in the product, it's completely okay. But regarding big companies with their workflows, with their culture, with their experience, at the end, maybe it will be a pure custom development. You will have the product, but you will have to do a lot of custom development. So it can impose cost, risk, and impact. Another thing is the business cannot wait. As I mentioned in the first step, the change won't happen in a month, not even in a year. Very often it's more than 1 year. It tends to be 2 years regarding big systems. And it means you buy the product now, but you will have the product in production in 1 or 2 years. And the question is, what are you going to do in those 1 or 2 years? Will your business stop, or would you need to support both projects, maintaining your current system and also implementing your new system? So business cannot wait, and very often there are some features that you simply need now and you cannot wait 1 or 2 years. And last but not least, there's no one who can predict future. So sometimes you buy a product that works today, but after 2 years, then what? Will the product be the same? It's also related to licensing and support and so on. But maybe after 2 years, you will have 2 years old system. And it's hard to predict where the business or the market will go. And at the end, also for the new product, you will need continuous modernization. So maybe you only replace one problem for another. And of course, there are many situations when replacing the whole product makes perfect sense. And I only want to clarify that everyone should think twice before saying, okay, I have enough. I want to replace my whole system. When talking about legacy systems, we also tend to talk about big monolith. Very often we are saying, okay, this is our old monolithic core system. And if you say big monolithic system, I imagine something like this. This big black monolith, if you are familiar with 2001 Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke, then you know what I'm talking about. And it would mean that these monoliths are perfectly bounded. You know where it starts and you know where it ends. You don't know what's inside, but you know the boundaries. The truth is that is not correct because in our experience, monolithic systems tend to be like this. We are seeing the night map of Europe, and we are focusing on one particular city, and you know the city is there. You know that the city is lightning, but where does it end? Where does it start? Where are the suburbs? Where is the center of the city? No one knows. And usually this is the case of a core system. Many integrations, many connections, and sometimes we face so-called butterfly effect. You change one part, and in another part, for the first side not connected at all, you have an impact. So this is another story. Monolithic systems are not perfectly separated from the rest of your infrastructure. Let's say they are a mutual part of your ecosystem. So what to do? The key is to find so-called friction point. So to find where we have the problem. And it also implies that modernization has to be continuous. It also implies a team should be dedicated for such a task. And it also means that there is no one solution to solve all problems. Never. Every system is unique. There is no approach saying, yes, focus on business or focus on architecture or focus on technology. No. In the first place, the problem has to be properly analyzed. And for example, as seen on this graphic, you have a few parts of your system. And for example, product planning part is completely okay. So it means it can wait. It can wait. Don't touch it at all. But for example, pricing part is problematic. And now we should decide what to do for this specific part. And in this particular case, okay, replacing is perfectly reasonable because there are not so many interfaces. There is a product available for pricing. So let's replace it and we are done. For other parts, for example, opportunity management or order tracking, it doesn't make any sense to replace it. But for example, we can hide it behind an interface or extend it by web GUI. So we choose another approach. And that's the key. So find a friction point, start with the first thing you have, which is the most problematic, and solve it, and then go to the next step. And if the first thing is to be replaced or rewritten or lifted and shifted, who knows? You have to analyze, and there is, as I said, no approach to fit all the challenges. Simply there is not. Of course, there are some categories we can choose. Here, another graphic from Gartner, and we were talking about technology, architecture, and functionalities, and there are different approaches. For example, problems in technology can be solved by encapsulating the technology, okay, for the outside world. It looks like a black box. Something is happening down there, but it provides nice interface, nice modern interface, and we are done. Or we have really old technology and we can simply rehost it or replatform it. In this case, talking about platform, running platforms, definitely having some CRM platform or content management platform. This is not only about technology, it's more about architecture and so on. When we are touching higher levels, architecture, we have to embrace refactoring or re-architecting. And when we want to touch everything from functionality down to technology, we should consider rebuilding or replacing. And of course, on the right side, we get the biggest advantages, biggest impacts, the biggest value, and we have to choose properly and wisely. As a help for the decisions, for example, there is this table saying something about the impacts and the costs and risks. So as you can see, regarding encapsulation and rehosting, it helps only in particular categories, not touching the others, and also the costs and the risks are low. When we are going to the higher levels, such as rebuilding or replacing, we are touching everything from technology up to functionality, but also the costs and risks are high. So when we replace, okay, we can change the whole solution significantly, but also the costs and the risks are challenging. So maybe we should choose rebuilding or architecting because it's a good value for us at the moment and for the situation. One more thing to mention, even your new systems become legacy at one moment. So sometimes we hear, yes, okay, we buy a new product and we are going to have a new system, therefore there's no need for further investments. Sorry to say that, but that assumption is absolutely wrong. And the reason is here, let's say that we have fit for purpose value and agility of the system, and without proper maintenance, it declines. That's the fact. And let's say it declines linearly. On the other hand, we have cost, complexity, and risk, and we can base this curve on hard data because we measure with our customers, we measure. And it's not linear, it's more exponential. And there are at least two milestones that are really interesting. Usually after 3 years without proper maintenance, you spend half of the money on the system on cost, complexity, and risk. It means to keep it running, you spend half of the money for fit value agility. It means for new features. And usually in year 5, these two curves are crossing. So since year 5, without proper maintenance, you spend more on maintenance regarding fixing bugs, technical debt, and so on, than on new features. And your system tends to be slow, high technical debt, not fit for purpose anymore. So this can happen. So also in case that you decide, I want to replace it, please keep in mind that also the new systems have to be maintained properly. So if you don't modernize it and keep it up to date, in a few years, maybe you will have the perfectly same problem. A short question, please tell me how old in general are your core systems or your bigger systems that you have in your portfolio, in your ecosystem. 10 to 15, more than 15, nice. 3 to 5, great. No younger systems at the moment, and no systems older than 5 years and younger than 10. So thank you very much. I have a clue. So I hope that this presentation, that this webinar hit the target. And last but not least, before we get to your questions, if there are any, a short use case, what simply can happen, or how we done it. This is BNP Paribas Wings core system use case. You can also find it on our web pages. And the story is simple. In 2012, the customer was in a situation that his system was in 3 countries, but developed by a small company, and in 3 countries. And in 2012, it was hard to replace, but also hard to maintain. And the customer had 2 options: replace it with a new product or choose to modernize it. Of course, they chose to modernize it, and to modernize it with profit. We applied our methodology to systems modernization. So we did something called system assessment. In July 2013, the system was transitioned to Profinit. So we were responsible, and we provided full service for the application. In 2016, the system was rolled to 4 new countries, 4 new different countries. And in April 2020, it was rolled out to more new countries. So what I want to say here, in 2012, system that was really about to die, to be replaced by something new, but the customer decided, okay, we want to keep the knowledge, we want to keep the system, we want to keep the investments, because there were significant investments to get the system to 2012 and to 3 countries. And they decided to modernize, and as you can see, now the system is living 8 more years, and it's living on and on. So in our opinion, almost every system can be saved and modernized, and it only depends on the approach that you choose. And I hope I gave you a few tips or hints how you can approach it. Okay, so simply let's summarize it. If you are facing legacy systems, and I think you do, and thinking about replacing, please think twice before ripping out and replacing the whole system. I presented a few tips. Sometimes continuous modernization offers more options, sometimes safer and faster. If you decide to modernize, the first thing is find the real root cause, the friction point. And there are many reasons why you are facing your challenges. That can be because of technologies, architecture, functionalities, and many other things. So you have to identify it in the first place. Then choose the best strategy for that particular reason. Start small, iteratively, so plan, execute, evaluate, repeat, and move on and on. And the truth is, you will learn along the way, and more steps you do, it will get better and better and better. The advantage is, as well as you are modernizing, you can also improve your system, implement more features, and so on. And let's say you are building on some kind of foundations. Maybe the foundations are not so great, but still you have them and the system is running and you are not building on a green field. And of course, please, if you do modernization, modernize continuously and make sure that everybody understands it. Very often we hear, okay, we want to modernize the system. It will be fixed time, fixed price project in 2 years. Thank you very much. And now let's go. This is not one of the best approaches you can choose. The modernization has to be continuous, and it also relates to new systems. So also, if you choose to replace your system completely, please think about modernization, maintenance, and so on. In the ideal world, you have a team responsible for that system, and they are keeping an eye on the system and keeping it up to date. Okay, thank you very much. And let's see your questions. So, do you have a methodology or approach how to identify the friction points? Yes, we do. That's the reason. That's the reason why I'm presenting. So if you want to know more, please do not hesitate to contact us. And to be sure, or to be honest, that's pretty complex, so I cannot present it right now in a few minutes, but yes, we have it. So please do not hesitate to contact us. Is this applicable to a system written in Uniphase 2? Okay, glad to hear that someone is using Uniphase in 2021. Yes, it is. And at the end of the day, Uniphase is a programming language. It has development ID. You can export the source codes out of the Uniphase language. You can analyze it. You can trace it. There are tools that can do it. We have experience with such a tools because one of our clients is using Uniphase. So yes, Uniphase's legacy system, you can use it. There's no doubt. Could you provide any statistic concerning the modernization? Yes, we can, and thank my colleague. Here is a link where you can see our case study. And again, if you are interested, do not hesitate to contact us and we can provide you with more information. So sorry, bad click. So that's all. I'll give you a few more seconds for last questions. Sorry for being a bit longer. We started 11:05, so I was a bit longer, but again, sorry for that, but I hope it helped you a bit. If you liked this presentation, don't be shy to contact us. We would be glad to consult with you or to give you more information. If this is all, thank you very much for participating in this webinar. Thank you very much for being so active. It was a real pleasure. And for example, see you next time. Stay in touch and have a nice day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.